Hello everyone, John Marshall, the DrillMaster. This is Missouri Military Academy, Part 3. This is the drill team in Waynesville, Indiana from January 2020. This is the three of the critiques, well, the two previous ones and then this one that I'm doing are to gear up the teams and really the school in general for upcoming competitions, but also, and then that's for the teams, but then the school to increase awareness of techniques and proper procedures, things like that. So, all right, going to start right at this image. I'm not even going to click play. So here we have, if you notice, and I know this is from 2020, but this was specifically sent in to ensure that the standards that this team displays are the standards that are supposed to be displayed for the regulation drill sequence, obviously the armed regulation drill sequence. So here we have, look at the hand placement here, the left hand for this cadet, then the left hand for this cadet. So I do. Okay. I have a 1903. All right, so most likely it looks like these are 1903s. So you can see that the cadet who's farthest back here, this, oh, so you can't see my, oh, there we go. There we go. All right, so look at this hand and then look at this hand and even this hand. So I'm talking about the cadet now on the far left. His left hand is here. So this is the upper receiver. This is, you know, if our rifles actually worked, they don't. They're all replicas. So if they actually worked, then this would be the upper receiver. You'd be able to chamber a single round in here if you so desired. Close the bolt and then be able to fire it. Well, it's absolutely impossible. These are technically they're toys. So anyway, so this cadet on the far left here, this cadet has his hand wrapped around on the upper receiver. And what we don't want is that. So when we're at port arms, see my pinky here is at the retaining ring of the upper receiver. It's the retaining ring for this piece of the upper handguard. So there's an upper handguard and then a lower handguard here. So we've got this retaining ring for the upper handguard. That's where you want your pinky, right at that level. And then just to let you know, I'm sure we'll get into this a little later. Then when you execute present arms, see here's the metal retaining ring that's still along the same lines or the same line as my pinky. So the hand just rotates around the rifle there. It doesn't slide up or slide down. And if you hear beeping in the background, I apologize, but got a neighbor doing some major work on his house. And anyway, so that's the left hand placement. That's what you want. It needs to be consistent throughout the team. And then for Army technique, what you're going to do is have here is the upper sling swivel, and then you have the lower sling swivel. So the sling only goes through the upper sling swivel, not the stacking swivel. Nobody has it here. I'm quite sure. Has the sling through the stacking swivel, but this is called the stacking swivel. That's not where the sling goes at all. So anyway, the upper sling swivel is going to be at chin level when you're at the correct port arms position. So that left hand is here, the right hand is at the small of the stock. Right underneath, you can touch the bolt practically with that right hand, just in between the thumb and index finger. You'll probably touch the bolt a little bit, but that's where you want your hand at the small of the stock. Left hand here, and then the rifle is going to bisect the left shoulder. The buttstock is then going to be over the right hip, and so you want that port arms position like this. Again, the upper sling swivel excuse me, at chin level. Okay. Yeah, and I can see there's as he was marching by, you can see his left hand is a little higher, and actually his is too, a little bit higher than that retaining ring. All right. So most likely this is probably a requirement for. Let me see if I can. I'll turn up the volume for the video. Excuse me. And I'll turn up the volume for me. So, yeah, there are many times that everybody takes turns, all three of the commands for marking time, and then all three of the commands, and they get all the mark time commands out of the way, and then it goes through with halt, and you don't wait. You give mark time march as you enter the area where you're supposed to stop. Squad leader has to gauge that definitely. And then as soon as you're there, you don't continue to mark time and wait for everybody else to arrive. Oh, excuse me. I've got to clear my throat, and I'll pause this. Okay, better. So you don't wait. It's not a cascading effect as far as getting every level and then going through the next and the next. It's mark time, march, and I noticed that nobody turned their head. Then, so this is not the judged part of the regulation on the armed regulation sequence. However, you're still making an impression. As soon as you walk through the door, in this instance, as soon as you first appear through the door, you've already set your team's first impression. So you need to make that first impression the best possible. So the squad leader, the first squad leader, is going to come up at the appropriate time, gauging off, using using the eyes to look over and make sure. All right, as soon as I hit the commander, then it's squad halt, and then everybody comes to, or not halt, but mark time. Everybody comes to mark time, and then you're turning your head over the right shoulder, unless you're going to the left. There's nothing happening going to the left, so it's over the right shoulder for the mark time and the halt. And it looks like none of you did that. None of the squad leaders did that. So you're going to mark time you're going to give a couple of steps, squad leaders, so that the squad can get that proper distance, and then also alignment for the subsequent squads that are coming in second and third here in this case, so that they can get their alignment to the left, actually, in this case, because the first squad stopped first, and then everybody else has to align to the left. Then once you're halted, if you were to continue on marching as a platoon, then the dress would automatically then shift on that first step to the right. Anyway, so it's turn the head, mark time, march. You come up to mark time a couple of steps, squad, halt, and it doesn't matter what happens with the other squads. That's what you do. Good order. All right, bad facing movement. That was not good. So I saw rifles trailing. The right face with the rifle is, at least for me, when I was first starting to use it or starting to learn it, was the most difficult. So you want to lift that rifle, and I've gone over this in another, in the color guard critique. So, but I'll do it again. That's not a problem. And I wish I could. I stood on my on my step stool for the sword arm swing. But and I wish I could have turn my camera so that you could see my feet and execute the facing movement. But anyway, so excuse me again. You don't want. How can I do this? I don't think I can. But let me try it with this rifle. I'll use my hand. So you have this. This is my right foot. Here's the rifle. All the toes are aligned. Rifle is grounded up against the shoe. Now on the command face, so we're going to the left. So it'll be left face. So this foot is going to pivot out on the toe on that platform that I was talking about earlier, and actually it pushes the rifle away and the rifle can swing out like that. That's what I saw on actually our shortest member here. We can go back a few seconds. Watch. See how the rifle just swings right out there. So what you want to do instead is as the toe pivots on the toe, as the foot pivots on the toe, excuse me, then what you want to do is lift the rifle up out of the way of the foot. You lift the rifle up no more than 3 inches off the marching surface. You bring it over and then you place it down next to the right foot. You place it and then you're at the same time you're pushing that rifle in so that it's grounded right up against the shoe, and then you place it down so that all 3 toes are aligned. And in order to get all 3 toes, that's your 2 toes of your shoes or your boots, and then the toe of the butt of the rifle. In order to get all that aligned consistently, what you have to do is just execute order arms about 1.5 million times so that you get that rifle placement perfect every single time. Once you have that, then you're able to use that arm muscle memory. As soon as you execute the facing movement, then you set that rifle down after you've executed it. So, if present arms is part of the for the whole platoon, that's fine. That's most likely. If it is, then it's a check for everybody to ensure that everybody's using the proper technique. If it's not part of the sequence, then there's no reason for the platoon to execute present arms. The commander. And this is per all 3 of the military manuals, the commander is the one who salutes for the formation. So again, if it's for the if it's part of the sequence, yeah, definitely do it, because the regulation drill sequences for color guard, for armed, for unarmed, they'll take you through some all of the tasks that everybody's supposed to do, and it might be just a little bit different than you'd do, like this for instance, than you do in a normal situation here. But that's because we're checking the entire formation plus the commander, we, the judges, checking everything to make sure that it's all being executed properly. So then what we have is some good left arms here. Not bad. Not bad at all. As I explained earlier, the Army is going to wrap the hand around the small of the stock at present, and then when you're at present, you want, and I'll use my other rifle, you want the for the Army, you want the front sight to be at eye level, and that's approximate. So it depends on the height of the individual. Now, not to pick on our shorter stature member here, but this is a perfect example with him. You can see the front sight is at is quite a bit. Let's see, maybe 7-8 inches above his eye level. And that's because what you want is, and I'll stand up here. What you want is the right arm fully extended. Now that doesn't mean locked like this. We don't want this ruler straight elbow. Don't want that at all. We want a natural bend in the elbow. We want the arm fully extended. Fingers are going to be wrapped around the small of the stock, but then that left hand is going to be, remember, at that retaining ring here. And then from here, get out of the way of the microphone, then from here what you're going to do is, as long as the right arm is fully extended, then as if the front sight is higher than eye level, you're fine. That means you're too short to bring that rifle down. And what we don't want you to do is to bring the rifle down with your left and then have your right practically meet in line if you're that short. So that's not the technique. Now, when I go to present arms, I can lower the rifle much more. I can go down to my nose with the front sight. That's because of my torso length, measured from my hips up to my eyes in this case, my torso length, but also my arm length. So I'm a little bit more proportionate as far as legs and torso goes. My dad, and I look almost exactly like my dad. My dad is proportioned differently. His torso is a little bit shorter than mine, but his legs are quite a bit longer. So it's interesting that we have these variations. So the technique here is compensates for that. So when you go to present and you're taller, what you don't want is the front sight to go past or lower than eye level. And if your arm is slightly bent even more, that's fine. That's not a problem. What you don't want, again, is to drop the front sight below eye level. But the team seems to be doing well here. And then you want the Army and the Marine Corps back during World War II, or probably just after, did all kinds of measurements with the depth of an individual, the width, shoulder to shoulder, step length, and measured arm length, and this was all averaged out to be the average length of an arm of the average man. The average step size, the average this, that, and the other thing. Well, the average fist is about 4 inches. So what you want is the rifle to be about 4 inches from the breastbone. Okay? Now, for males, yeah, we can do that. We can measure it, no problem. For females, it's a little bit different, obviously, and I don't want to be crude at all. This is just a natural fact here. So when we measure for females, we're going to eyeball the distance. Guys, we can just stick that arm or that fist right in there and place the rifle up against. And then for females, it's a general look of for that distance. So that's what we want. We don't want to bring the rifle in really close, and we also don't want to push it away like we're afraid of it. Okay, which if you go to my my Instagram, you can see both. So our tech sergeant here has stripes that are way too high. Let's go back. There we go. All right, so sword technique here. You brought your hand out away from your thigh to bring the sword up. And I know it's a bummer to where's my sword? There. I just had it. All right. So and I know it's a sword manual can be a little bit tricky to learn, but what you want to do is to you're at present, you're going to come back to the position of order, and then you're going to use your heel, the heel of your thumb, to kick the rifle, the saber back up. So but your hand must remain at your side. So you're going to kick it back up. It takes tons of practice, but you can do it definitely. What you've just done here is not the proper technique. And are you holding your see, that's a school technique. You're holding your scabbard. That's a school technique. Don't do that in competition. Yeah, you are. You're holding, and see, this is why I say, all right, if it's the school technique, I really can't say anything against it, because the reply is, well, that's what we do at our school. Well, okay, that's fine. However, it's not the technique that we use, is it? No, no, it's not. And when you get out into, if you ever get out into the military, you're going to find that it's totally different. So school techniques might be fine, but then when you get out into competition, you're expected to follow the manual, and you're not following the manual here for scabbard holding, which you're not supposed to do. So just to reiterate, wherever your hand is, I've done this before, but wherever your hand is along the rifle, if you're shorter, then it's going to be obviously a little lower. And if you're taller, then it's going to be higher. That's where your hand stays when the rifle is brought forward, angled forward for parade rest. You don't slide your hand up to under the stacking swivel. And it actually looks like a couple of you have, a couple of you did slide your hand up, but didn't slide the hand up. You wrap the fingers around. That's good. That's the Army technique. But you leave the hand at the place, at the location on the rifle. This is a bit too tall, so I'll use this. So there. So if my hand is here, fingers extended and joined on the side of the rifle, then I'm going to come forward for parade rest, just wrap my fingers around, but my hand stays right here. Now, obviously, if my hand is up here at the stacking swivel, then yeah, it's going to stay there. But if it's down here, then it's just going to feel a little more awkward because of the upper sling swivel, but that's where your hand stays. So let's see that again. And again, there's still a bit of swing out there. Just a couple of members still swinging out. See, right here, this rifle was swung out to the right. I think the right face is much easier than the left when armed. Picking up the rifle and placing it down. It just seems to work better for me. That's all. And I've done it quite a few times, numerous times, and so I've got that muscle memory. And I haven't executed it in a while now, but probably could pick up that muscle memory again. So what you want to do then again is here's your rifle, and you pivot, but you bring the rifle back and then set it down as you finish the movement. But I appreciate that on the first command you're lifting, and then placing just after. It's working well. Just you either way, either direction, left or right face. And about face sucks. Oh, did you have you're not dropping your rifle? Yeah, and you're lifting up too. All right, so gonna pick on our shortest member here. You're not setting your rifle. Well, you're probably gone. This is from 2020. Most likely you're gone from the school, but but I want to highlight this. He's not setting the rifle down after every single time you finish a facing movement. You're just leaving it up and then executing the next facing movement, holding it in the air, letting it hover off the marching surface. And you're also lifting. You've done that a couple times, but you have lifted also on the preparatory command. That's not a technique at all. And even if it's in a school technique, please don't do that. All of your cadets are learning it the wrong way, whether it's JROTC or a military school. If you're lifting on the preparatory command, right, face, and then turning, setting the rifle down, you're doing it wrong. There's no movement on the preparatory command. You need to wait till the command of execution. So I see, yeah, I see. Sorry. So stopping a video midstream really shows you where you are technique-wise, and left hand shouldn't be up there at this point. Shouldn't be that high on the rifle. That's where it should be, but it looks like thumb is sticking out here. So, and then got a head cocked to the side a little bit, moving the head instead of the rifle. Plus, he's early as opposed to the rest of the team. You can see rifle angles, left hand way too high. So as you, and I'll get to why I was going through that so many times, but let me address this first. So you bring the rifle up to the let's see, port position. We're going to right shoulder. So you grab the butt and then bring the rifle over. But see, as soon as the rifle leaves my left hand, notice my left hand is dropping down to meet the rifle here, just under the bolt, the L of these two fingers right here, just under the bolt, hand flared, just like fingers extended and joined, just like a salute. This is not a salute. This is a salute. This isn't. You're not saluting anything. This, the Army doesn't do anymore. So anyway, but notice that my left hand meets the rifle as it's placed on the shoulder. So you're bringing the rifle in just like this. So also, you're not doing this. And I've seen quite a few people do this. You're not holding the rifle up higher so that you lower the rifle onto your shoulder. You bring the rifle over so it's already at the level for your shoulder. Your arm should be fully extended. Again, not the ruler straight type of extended, but extended enough to where you are. Here's port. You drop your right hand down to catch the. Here, I'll show you. So you drop your hand down to bring the rifle. Drop your hand down to the buttstock to bring the rifle to right shoulder, and then you bring the rifle over. I see so many, especially when you're changing shoulders. You're coming from left. You bring the rifle and it stays way up here, and then you have to bring it all the way down to set it on your shoulder. That's not the case. Now, the rifle is going to be higher for the Marine Corps, Navy, and Coast Guard, and but that's not what we're doing right here. So it's still going to be chin level with the upper sling swivel. So you're going to bring the rifle over so that all you have to do is bring it horizontally and just kind of make that turn there. Just like that. We've got hands that are stuck up here at this point, and they shouldn't be. They should be transitioning down to here. All right. We're almost splitting hairs, almost, but this is these little tiny details that we need to get taken care of. So here's what I saw though, and why I had to repeat the video constantly. As a couple of the cadets were bringing the rifle up, As they were bringing the rifle up, I saw this coming out with the butt. Now, what they didn't do is break the plane. Okay, this is the plane that we want right here. We want this nice and flat. The body is on a plane. The rifle is on a plane. So they didn't break the plane, but it's coming close. So what you want when you bring the rifle up is this. All right, I know that's a light rifle, easier to work with, but still, that's what you want. You don't want this, bringing it out like that. And again, I know that's a nitpicky little tiny detail, but then again, that's what we're looking for at a competition. We're looking for nitpicky little tiny details. So it's the nitpicky little tiny details that sometimes make the difference between first and second. The port, going to port, that looked really good. But you've got some different rifle angles there. Let's go back just a bit here. Now watch this transition. See how do you see how the rifle is brought out and it's brought, and I'm exaggerating so I can try and get this point across. It's grab it, bring it up and down, grab it up and down. That's not the technique that we're looking for. We need it much smoother. It's grab, transition straight across, almost straight across, but we don't want the up and down. It's not a roller coaster to up and down. It's grab, place, grab, place. It's again little tiny details. Right. Some of the armed movements I really do not like. I just don't appreciate them. But I came back to here because look at that. That's a rifle off the marching surface. That's another rifle. Here, this rifle's on, rocked back. That's good. That's exactly what you want, rocked back, so that the toe is not resting. A couple of toes are resting, it looks like. Order is very specific, so that your thumb is along the seam of the trouser leg, which means you have to rock the rifle back onto the butt of the heel. But this rifle isn't even on the first squad leader. Very, very slow to set that rifle down, and it needs to be much quicker. It needs to happen almost immediately. So did you see right step? And some rifles went up, some didn't. Got to be consistent. And again, like I said before, we wait for the command of execution to execute. There's no movement that happens on the preparatory command. So right step, march, and you take that first step and lift the rifle. Now, 3 inches is going to be enough to clear, and what you don't want is sitting down is very limiting. It's really a pain. So what you don't want, if this is the rifle and this is my right leg, what you don't want is this. You don't want the rifle to angle out with your right leg. You want to bring the rifle out like this. So as I execute right step, then I'm doing this. Okay, I hope I'm trying to illustrate as best I can without going outside, setting up my equipment, and going through a whole lesson. Down. That was better. Well, and now we've got rifles flopping up against the leg, so you've got to do the same thing. Left step, march. It's going to be step, close, step, close, So what I see here on a couple of cadets is step, slam into the leg, step, slam into the leg. That's not what you want. Bring that rifle out and hold it away from your body, not excessively, just maybe an inch, so that the rifle hangs vertically. The rifle needs to hang there. Ooh. That was the back step that really didn't look all that good. So remember, back step is 15 inches, measured from heel to heel, and then it's a normal arm swing, but the cadence was a bit quick. Yeah, it was a bit quick. So if I bring up my my metronome, and if I don't have, let's see, tap the tempo. Yeah, that was about 130. All right, so 120 is your max. Get a metronome. Download Loud Metronome. I like the app. It really works well. It's loud through a Bluetooth speaker, not necessarily through the phone, but set the metronome on 120. Put it in the middle individual's pocket, back pocket, in the middle of the formation, and then march to it. Do everything to it, and you'll find that you're either doing things way too fast or way too slow, and getting it to that 120 tempo for the Army. You've got a range of 118 to 124, or thereabouts, 116 to 124. But trying to hit that target of 120 is going to be very beneficial. But do you see the steps that you're taking backwards? They're not even half steps. Your toe is landing mid-foot. You're bringing the foot up, and then your toe is landing here. Then bringing your foot up, and the toe is landing here. You're taking 6-inch steps, maybe even 4-inch. So you're not moving at all like the 15 inches that it should be. Again, measured heel to heel. So when we have a toe strike, it's a little bit different of a measurement. It's kind of awkward, but you can do it. Do you see how I mean about the butt of the rifle coming out instead of being brought up to the plane? Grips are inconsistent. This is the grip you want right here. This young man has an excellent grip. Splitting the butt of the rifle with the index and middle, and then got the donut. No donut, all fingers together. Looks like a good grip. Fingers together with a donut. Partial donut, fingers together. Maybe a donut, fingers together. So, inconsistent. So, Commander, your arm swing is all to the front and nothing to the back. So you're finishing the arm swing. You're coming out, then you're stopping at the side, and then coming out and stopping at the side. Same arm swing that you're going to have, even unarmed. 9 to the front, 6 to the rear. It's measured from the center of the thigh forward and then back. Seems a bit rounded. Oh, you've got a crossover. So some of you are crossing your feet over. Some of them are in line. Some of them are proper. So I love the Air Force technique of putting one foot in front of the other. It's awesome. The half step afterwards is idiotic, honestly. So the left foot in front of the other and then turning like that, it's perfect. Everybody else, you're still maintaining what's called a walking base. So as you're marching, as you're even walking, that's why it's called a walking base. When you walk, you have a certain distance between the inside of your feet, and you are going to maintain that whatever you're doing. It's a natural walking base for you. You developed it as soon as you started to learn to walk, and you've had it ever since, most likely. Sometimes it can be altered. It just depends on that muscle memory. So what you want is to continue with the walking base. Rear called on the heel of the right foot, step, march, did well, Commander. But then what you're going to do is turn here. Still maintain the walking base, still going to have that 30-inch distance between the heels. You're going to turn, and then you actually have your legs a bit crossed. That's why I like having the left in front of the right. Air Force did an excellent job on that, screwed up on the half step afterwards. So turn and then full step after. Marine Corps does the same thing. 30-inch step afterwards, 30-inch step into it. Okay, so now I got to look something up. Okay, so just making sure full step. I get with studying all of these manuals behind me, it sometimes gets a little confusing as you're doing it. Especially I'm working on Air Force and Marine Corps online training right now, but I'm supposed to be judging Army. So usually I can prepare for things like this, but anyway. All right, so let's continue here. So some of you, what I saw crossing over and then pivoting, which also makes sense so that your feet are actually in line and your legs are straight and not crossed. But that's not the technique. So it's a full step, pivot on both of the platforms. Then the platform is the ball of the foot and everything forward. You don't pivot on the toe, or else you'd be doing this type of turn. All right, so it's the same. It's the same for flanks. You're going to maintain that walking base. So once you pivot, you maintain the walking base here. You also bring that foot out 30 inches, and I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing I'm not seeing the walking base, and I'm also not seeing the 30-inch step there. Yeah, you're both of those flanks. That was what the team has done. They've worked together so long that they've altered their step to where they're staying in line, which is great. However, they're missing out on especially that first step, that initial step in the new direction, and the last step technically. Let's go back here. So watch this right flank. Very small steps on what I call the end step and then that first step. And here we have, arm swing. So now watch. Well, I'm not pausing it well enough to show you, but third squad leader is executing a toe strike, or actually maybe even a full foot strike. Half step for the Army, Air Force, and Space Force is exactly half of a full step forward, not only in step length, but also in step style. It's the same type of step. You're still going to strike with the heel. And yeah, that's more of a whole foot. And he kind of got screwy with his arm swing there, so more practice definitely needed for there. And with such a tight space, you had to execute the changing of the shoulder. Whoa, way too fast. So for this half step, you have first and third squad leader. First squad leader is executing a toe strike. Middle squad leader, second squad leader, is executing a heel strike. And then third looks like he's executing a whole foot strike. So watch. It's more of a toe. So many toe strikes, some heel strikes, and probably a whole foot strike. So I'm not going to say pick one. I'm going to say heel strike. Heel strike is the technique. And speeding up, again, get that metronome going. You're going from 120 to 130, probably 135 here. There's no reason to increase, whether you're marching in half step or now marching in place. No need to increase at all the tempo. See how that's a significant tempo change. Oh. That was, let's watch that column. What did you do? Oh. So all of the squad leaders executed the first pivot, which is what you're supposed to do. Do that. Army doesn't do that. Every other service does, but Army doesn't have the second pivot in there. Now, obviously, the inside and which is third this time, column right has the inside element or squad is going to be third, so that's going to be just a right flank, technically, one step, then go into half step, but second and third, you're going to execute that 45-degree pivot, and then you're going to march in an arc around. It's not the Marine Corps or Air Force technique of 135 in between the two pivots. You don't execute two pivots. And here we have that the toe. You're kind of marching like a duck. When really technically we march like this. We're halted here. That first step is a transition, and then when we're marching, that first step for halt is a transition, and then another transition. As well, change in shoulders. While it might look sharp to do something like this with the forearm horizontal, that's not the technique. The technique is elbow down. This is not the technique. Yeah, executing those two pivots. One pivot and an arc through. Good job. Nice pickup, Commander. Well done. Good. So, Commander, you had your sword up there for quite a bit. Let's try that again. So the command is eyes. As you're bringing that sword up, you're turning your head to call out the command. Eyes. Right. Okay? Right is bringing that sword down. Eyes. Right. And you're marching. So don't bring your sword up and then eventually call eyes right. It's up at that command.
Ready.
Nope. No, ready front needs to be with your sword as well. You're going to execute it Also, and you don't carry your sword on the outside of your shoulder. The sword actually fits in the here. This one's not in a bag. The sword actually fits in the little that little divot in your shoulder. That's where it fits, and that's where you that's where you swing from. So what you're doing there is not the technique. Okay, armed exhibition. All right, so I guess I'll continue on with the critique of the exhibition, but this will be but that'll be another video that I'll do. This is definitely it's almost an hour going over your armed regulation sequence. So team, you've got and again, I know this is a few years ago, but that doesn't matter. Still, the team did well. There's a definite understanding there, a display of understanding of what's supposed to happen. It's just there's bad technique being executed here and there. So I've given you quite a bit to think about, that's for sure. And any questions, then definitely you can always let me know. Thank you.